welcome to an easy peasy lesson. This time I will show you how to conjugate Romanian verbs in the present tense. I'm not gonna lie to you, the Romanian present tense is a bit difficult and confusing because unlike other Romance languages that are very well structured, Romanian is more of a spoken language, which means that there are all kinds of vowel and consonant changes occurring in the verbal stem, and this phenomenon is very hard to explain. Also, there are very few rules that can guide you through this whole process. Due to this fact, I'm going to show you only the basic information, and we're gonna do it slowly, step by step, because I don't want this whole amount of information to confuse you even more. So let's start. What you should first know about Romanian verbs is that depending on the sound they have at the end in the infinitive form, they can have four conjugations. The first conjugation ends in a. The second conjugation ends in ea. The third conjugation ends in e. And the fourth conjugation ends in I or u. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the verbs of the first conjugation, and as I already said, these are the verbs that end in the infinitive in a. Let me give you some examples. A alerga, a fuma, a desena, a asculta, a explica, a încerca. Well, now comes the part when things get a little bit complicated because there are two groups of verbs ending in a. The first group doesn't take any infix, which means between the verbal stem and the personal endings, there won't be anything. And then there's the second group, which takes the infix as or as. Also, there's something else that differentiates these two groups from each other, and that is the accent that always falls on the infix. So, in case of the verbs that don't take any infix, the accent will fall on the stem. And in case of the verbs that take the infix is or as, the accent will fall on this infix. We're gonna talk in this lesson only about the verbs that don't take any infix at all. In order to form the present tense, you will need the verbal stem of the verb you're trying to conjugate. You just go to the infinitive form and eliminate the ending. And now that you have the stem, you also need the personal endings for each and every person. In the first person singular, you won't need any ending, which means you're just gonna use the verbal stem as it is, and that's it. Then, in the second person singular, you'll add I to the stem. In the third person singular, you'll add to the stem. In the first person plural, you'll add to the stem. In the second person plural, you're gonna add at to the stem. And then in the third person plural, you will add exactly like in the third person singular, to the stem. I will conjugate now a verb for you to understand these aspects a little bit better, and I will take the example of a explica. So, first and for all, we will need the stem of the verb. In the infinitive, the verb is a explica. To find out the stem, you will eliminate the ending and also this a in the beginning, which nobody needs in the present tense. So the stem will be explic. So, eu explic. As you can see, there is no personal ending, just the pure verbal stem. Eu explic. Tu explici. Now the personal ending is I, but pay attention that this I is not stressed because the accent already falls on the stem. And as you might already know, there can only be one stressed vowel in a word. So if the accent already fell on the stem, the ending will not be stressed. El explică or ea explică. So nothing special about this. And then something happens that kind of contradicts what I already said about the accent always falling on the stem. Even if we're talking here about verbs without any infix, or about verbs with infix, or about verbs of another conjugation. In the first and second person plural, the accent always falls on the ending. So it's gonna be noi explicăm, and voi explicați, voi explicați. And then in the third person plural, the accent will fall again on the stem and it's gonna be ei explică or ele explică. This was actually a verb that you can conjugate by using the rules. But as I already warned you, there are some vowel and consonant changes that might occur in the stem, especially in the second person singular, in the third person singular, and in the third person plural, because the third person singular and plural are the same. And I'm going to talk only about two of them. One consonant change is when you have tu in the stem. In the second person singular, you will change this tu into tu. For instance, a ajuta, it's gonna be eu ajut, tu ajuți. Or a arăta, eu arăt, tu arăți. Or a discuta, eu discut, tu discuți. And so on and so forth. So the T is gonna change into tu only in the second person singular. And there's also a vowel change that might occur. Whenever you have a between two consonants, you will change this a into a in the third person singular and plural. For instance, you have alerga, and it's gonna be eu alerg, tu alergi, and then el aleargă. Or a chema, eu chem, tu chem, el cheamă. Or a încerca, eu încerc, tu încerci, el încearcă. And so on and so forth. Well, there are two big exceptions to these general rules I gave you, and here I'm referring to two sets of verbs that kind of take different endings in the present tense, but I won't be talking about them in this lesson because this is getting too complicated and I don't want to discourage you. Just learn what I gave you for now, and this should be enough in the beginning. This is it for now. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Be happy!